The arrest affidavit for this case revealed so much that we did not know, 18 pages worth. But that's only just a piece of this investigation, the minimum, as some experts we talked to say. Some of it will come out in a potential trial. Other parts will have to lean on some of our experts to basically fill in the gaps until we find out more. Joining me now is retired FBI Special Agent Bobby Chacon. Bobby, thank you so much for being with us. The first thing I want to ask you that has a lot of people puzzled is this surviving roommate who apparently saw the killer walk by. Do you think the killer saw her? And if so, why may he have spared her life?
Well, it's a great question, Brian, and I think he did see her, but looking at the affidavit with the phone records and where he was, I think he had a certain plan. There was a plan in place that he had for this house. So he was executing a plan as he thought it was going to go in his mind. Now, all of the times that people do this, things go wrong. He might have only planned on 2 victims and it turned out to be 4. I think that the rage that he had that was building in the days and weeks leading up to the murders, I think all came out, and I think the opposite side of that rage is an adrenaline crash. And I think that after the 4th victim, it's entirely possible he crashed. He was simply so exhausted, and then you get kind of tunnel vision. He was looking to get out of that house as quickly as he could, and the other 2 people downstairs were not part of his plan, and so he walked right by her to get out of the house. So I think it's entirely possible he was simply too exhausted, and it wasn't part of the plan that he had envisioned.
One of the creepiest things about this for me when I read over the affidavit was that he is accused of coming back to the house. That's what the cell phone records indicate, around 9:15 in the morning after the murders. Is it possible? I mean, do you think he may have been going back to go back inside? Do you think he realized that he left the knife sheath there?
It could be, but I don't think so. I think this is sometimes classic criminal behavior where they revisit the scene of the crime. I think he might have gone back there to see if there were ambulances or police cars. He probably expected the police to be there already. And I think he went back to look for police or what kind of activity was taking part at the house. Sometimes the thrill, we've seen people stand behind police lines at fires. Arsonists do this a lot. And so I think that he was driving by to see basically the fruits of his actions. If there were, there should have been by that time a lot of police activity and ambulance activity. So I think that might be, it's impossible to tell. This is all speculation on my part, but I think it's quite possible that he was going back there to expect to see a lot of police activity.
Yeah, and like you said, we hear that people like this get a very weird, strange thrill from things like that. Let's talk about these traffic stops in Indiana. There were the 2 stops. Very suspicious. The FBI has come out and said that they didn't organize the stops. I mean, do you think it's possible that this was really just a coincidence that Kohberger and the dad got pulled over twice on the way back to Pennsylvania?
Well, I think it's possible now. I originally thought that it might have been orchestrated because it's an investigative technique that I myself used when I used to work the mafia in New York City. We used to have the NYPD radio cars, the uniform patrol, pull them over to ID who was in the car and things like that. So I think, I thought originally that at least the first one was orchestrated, probably not the second one, because you never want to do 2 of these too close together because the suspect can raise their suspicion that the police are onto them. So initially I thought the first one, particularly because it was a sheriff, and the sheriffs don't usually do traffic enforcement on the interstates. That's usually the state troopers, which the second stop was a state trooper. So I think when the FBI, they have no reason to lie that they didn't orchestrate it. This is a perfectly valid and legal investigative tool, and they wouldn't want to jeopardize the case by lying about it afterwards and things. So I think that, that if they didn't orchestrate it, now it could have been orchestrated by the Idaho State Police. That's something that people have said, and that's perfectly possible. But I think right now it might be just a really weird coincidence.
Yeah, crazy coincidence. But you mentioned it. I mean, if it made him suspicious, there's the reports that once he got to Pennsylvania, he had the gloves on. He was moving the trash from his parents' house to the neighbor's house. So that all certainly came into play. I want to ask you about the knife, because I have heard, according to sources, that one possible defense strategy here could be trying to say that knife will not match up to the wounds. Do you think that could possibly come into play at a trial?
Well, it could, and the defense could certainly make that allegation. There will be very detailed testimony by the medical examiners and by people that are experts in wound patterns with this knife. Now, normally, depending on the stab wound, but sometimes you can actually match the knife up right to the wound. In this case, if the wounds are too graphic, if they're too gross, if they were too much together, you may not be able to get the exact knife fit in. So it all depends on the wound pattern. But I anticipate you will have the medical examiner or coroner give expert testimony for the prosecution. The defense will probably have its own experts come in and make an allegation exactly the way you described. I don't know that will prevail, but it's something the defense, is certainly open to trying.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.